My dear friends, I hope this finds you well. This past Sunday night, we had the pleasure and honor of hosting Rabbi Hanoch Teller, a really internationally known writer and speaker, and who, in his inimitable way, spoke about happiness and how we can achieve true happiness and what are the obstacles to it. And one of the insights that he gave was that very often we mix up happiness and fun. And in the Western world today, in the modern world, we spend so much time in the pursuit of fun, but yet it doesn't bring about happiness. And he brought the example of spectator sport. We spend so much time, myself included, really wasting our time on sports. And even at its great height, great moments in sport, does it give us lasting joy? And the truth is, no, it doesn't. He gives the example of going to a game and everything's so exciting and so powerful, and then the game's over and that's it. And I actually just a couple hours before he spoke in our show, I was at a game with my children at the MCG, and my son has adopted Carlton as his team. The girls couldn't really care less, as neither could I. But Ori loves Carlton, and it's actually a good thing in my mind because I feel it's my parental spiritual duty to ensure that my children follow teams that are bad, as this teaches humility. And growing up, all the Boston teams, although now they win, but they were bad teams, and it gave me deep humility, which of course helps me to this very day. So it's not a bad thing that he follows Carlton, and it was actually a great game on Sunday. They were down big, and it was pretty depressing, but then in the third and fourth quarter, they made this huge comeback, and the crowd was getting behind them, and it was really, really exciting. Then, of course, they lost in in the last minute, but it was a great sporting moment, and you felt the power, you felt the excitement, you felt the energy, and then the game was over, right? We go back to life, and so again, there's a value to those moments, but it's not long lasting. It's not long lasting. Lahavdil, right? To separate in the deepest way of separation. There are moments that we do have. They're not happy moments. On the contrary, they're deeply sad moments. But those are the moments that if we take them to heart, it actually gives us not happiness, but a life of meaning. Because the truth is, we shouldn't pursue happiness. If we pursue meaning and goodness, happiness is the natural byproduct. I don't think we chase after happiness. If we do what is good and what is right and what is meaningful, we find happiness. This past week, I, like many of you, was really, broken with the news of the passing of a young man, not in our community, but in the Brighton Hebrew congregation, Anton Herman, a young father of three, died suddenly in a cycling accident. His son has been davening with us over the past year. And it's just really, really awful and tragic and terrible in every possible way. And there's a statement in Kohelet, actually. It says it's better to go to a house of mourning than a house of feasting. Of course, we wish mourning and tragedy upon no one. And we want to bless the family with so much comfort and the ability to somehow heal from this great tragedy. But what Kohelet is saying is that when you have an opportunity to go to a house of mourning, to go to a funeral, it can profoundly impact your life. And actually you grow more from those experiences than to go to a house of great joy, even if the joy is genuine. It's not a footy game. It's real joy. When you go to a funeral, or you go to a house of mourning and you learn about this person, what they're passionate about, and the great loss that there is, this actually really gives you deep meaning. And sometimes we feel broken and we feel stuck and we feel paralyzed, and that's a natural response and a response of grief. But of course, the response to this loss is to say, I'm going to double my efforts to be more committed to the things that this person lived their life for. And Anton Herman, I didn't know him personally, but he was a man who accomplished a tremendous amount in his 53 short years, who lived for others and with kindness and great dedication. And our response must be to say, you know what? now I gotta do what I can. I gotta do what I can to make sure that I'm picking up the pieces, picking up the work of a person who's no longer with us. This Shabbat is Parshat Chukat, which is all about mortality. Miriam dies, Aaron dies, and of course the Parsha opens up with a mysterious ritual of the red heifer, which purifies us, if we come in contact with death. And the whole thing, of course, is a mystery, and there's many questions how it works, and it is a chok, it's an irrational ritual. But I'll just tell us two very simple ideas that come out of it. Number one, the red heifer, which represents vitality and life, gets reduced to ashes, which talks about the brokenness of reality. But also, sometimes when we face death, we must, humble ourselves and say, I don't get it, I don't know, but we humble ourselves. And we recognize our smallness, and we recognize how fragile and how short life is. But then it says that the ashes of the red heifer get combined with living water. Rabbi Sachs says that this part of the ritual tells us that there is a possibility of moving forward, how water flows and water moves forward and water never stays the same. And so too, there is a possibility for healing and for moving forward. And so to put it all together, we're not chasing after happiness. We're chasing after meaningful experiences. We're looking for meaningful experiences. And unfortunately, sometimes you face loss and death, and it's a terrible, tragic thing, but we must take it to our hearts, remember just how precious life is, commit ourselves deeply to the things that are valuable within this world, humble ourselves, recognize it's not all up to us, but our life is so precious. We must purify ourselves and move forward. And with that, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.